Hello guys, so this is Rune from the forums and this is my promised video of the Grasshopper. Well, first of all, to say it's Rune. I'm Spanish, so buenos días a todos. And I must say, well, my English is going to be as good as I can make it, and I can't do anything else. So here we go, getting off the runway with this beautiful piece of machinery. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's this funny thing. It leans when you turn, and I don't know. It reminded me of the tumbler from the Batman movies, the new ones, and I like it. I don't know. I definitely wasn't going for that. It was just happy accident, but it kind of works. And there I was when you. EVA, actually IVA, well, you know English, sorry. But I thought I would show it off roving a little bit. It can actually get up to decent speeds. You could get it to 20 meters per second without issues, nothing would pop. But you shouldn't try turning when you're really going that fast. Safe turning speed is about 10 meters per second. Actually, the I can do anything speed is 5 meters per second, somewhere around that. And I've noticed that the tires do pop more on the runway for some weird reason. I don't know why that is, but it is more stable here. And there we go. We're going to the launch pad because, you know, a vertical launch, it's better to do it on the proper vertical launch pad. There we go, getting close to a bump, and I brake a bit. There it is. No tire popped, and we carry on. Yeah, you will also notice that I have like. Well, first I'm choosing control from here in the docking port because, well, it points in the way we're going to travel very soon. Well, not really, but you will see. And I put the brakes on. And this is I like to call it anti-turtle system because, let's face it, in low gravity we are going to flip over and end up upside down, and we need a way to, well, flip ourselves back in. There we go, I activate the jets because I feel very smart. I think that it's going to look cooler if I do it from with the gear down, but the very glide among you will have noticed that it's actually leaning forwards a bit. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. See, you don't have really that much thrust weight. Well, the jet engine starts pulling up. Therefore, you want to be pointing up, or you, I don't know, I guess the gear sticks to something or whatever. Luckily, I am a person that gets ready before, so we have a quick load, and yeah, that was a bad idea. You could, I guess, balance the landing gear so that doesn't happen, but honestly, as long as you can take off like this, yeah, why bother? And up we go, up we go, up we go, very majestically over the water tower. And yeah, this part is kind of boring. Okay, you will see that I kind of show you around some things that I have, you know, around KFC, and the cursor may be bothering you, but you know, I thought that you would kind of see what I'm doing better. You can see the cursor it's kind of where my attention is. Yeah, lights, and yeah. That way we both can know what I was doing while I was recording this. And vertical velocity is what we're looking for here. You will notice that we're going straight up. And yeah, what's important is to keep an eye on that indicator. And also the wheels, they move, and I wasn't moving before when when I was rowing. You can go back and check the video if you want. That's because I actually have the rover controls mapped to two different places. Like they come by default in the WSD keys, but that makes you operate SIS and torque and all that stuff when you are trying to row, and it can make you flip on moon, for example, or even on cabin. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. So I've also got it mapped to the translation keys, IJKL, and then you can choose what you want to use. But yeah, they do weird things when you're flying. And yeah, I don't. Okay, yeah, that's why I'm showing you. Sorry. Yeah, the circular intakes, they're there mostly to look good, and above this altitude they will do pretty much nothing. So you can take them off with action key group 3, I think. But check out what each action group does, because it's better. You have to get to know your ships. And yeah, we're getting to 10 kilometers up and almost 100 meters per second in speed. And we want to keep maximum vertical ascent speed of about 100 meters. So you'll notice that I start leaning forward while trying to keep the vertical speed around there. It's kind of complicated because it's logarithmic, so it will rise very quickly to the left, to the right. Wait, yeah, it will rise very slowly to the right and fall very quickly to the left. So yeah, a balancing act, but you see how I'm going. It's also good to look that your prograde is rapidly falling, but that's because we are accelerating fast. As you can see, we are already at 20 kilometers, and yeah, when you see that the air is getting to around 1, try to just level off. Now you wanna lower your ascent speed to about 10 meters per second vertical. Your vertical speed should be hovering around there. You wanna build up speed, and we are already going 1 kilometer per second. Yeah, we have first weight and getting re-entry effects. It's actually a nice indicator. When you get this, means you're already fast. So you can again start climbing. I let the vertical velocity rise again and get it to over 25 kilometers. Basically, the next step, you're hearing it right now, and I panicked a bit. Yeah, when the sound lets you know that you are in danger of flaming out, and we are not yet fast enough. Only 1.5 kilometers per second. That's nowhere enough. We do not have this first weight. So I checked to see that my apoapse is not too high, so that I can keep on firsting at apoapse, and then I level off and start listening very closely and then looking at this. And about 0.2, you will see that I use yet another trick to keep on going faster without resorting to only the nuclear engine, which is it really hasn't got the biggest thrust in the history of the universe. So you really need to be going real fast, so that most that cabin can do is bend your trajectory. Yeah, you see I've lowered the thrust to 2/3 and turned on the second flame out. Well, the first flame out. But we are already, as you see, almost over 1,800 meters per second. So yeah, and I pitch up, get control back. It's real easy. It's very maneuverable. As long as you turn off the jet engines, because you will start flaming out completely. And yeah, now's the crucial part. This whole thing you should have done over 1,800 meters per second in speed, so that when you turn on the nuclear engine, its thrust is enough to offset the gravity losses of this. And how do you know that? You know that because the apoapse stays in front of you and getting farther away. That means you're thrusting vertically more than needed to offset the gravity losses at your height. And you will also notice that the velocity indicator starts rising again. You don't want it going down, certainly. And if you pass your ups, well, you're falling. You're gonna have to rely on the jets again, and you're gonna fall under 20 kilometers, and merry go around and waste fuel. And yeah, notice how I'm pitching back down. As I get faster, the gravity losses are less and less, and I can fast closer to prograde. And yeah, we still have lots and lots of fuel. Yeah, basically the oxidizer tells you how much burn time you have on the nuclear engine. The other, there's excess liquid fuel to run the jet engine, and actually it's excess for a single launch, a single stage to orbit. In Kerbin, at least. I don't know, it maybe even get to more than one, maybe two, in somewhere easier, like Lathe, as the only other place you can use yet. But yeah, and suddenly when you get over 2 kilometers, 300 meters per second, yeah, your ups starts going way forward. You should all know how to do this part, but it's never bad to freshen up on those orbital mechanics. And you will notice that since the last climb was so gradual, the periaps is actually really close to us, and we're gonna keep a long time going up. But we're already pretty high, so yeah, the drag is not that much. We're 40 kilometers high, so that periaps is gonna be about 30. Well, the main part is that we are already over 35 kilometers, which is when the serious drag. You want to leave that as soon as possible, in general, with any plane or whatever. As soon as you're with rockets and you don't want air to burn, you want to get over 35 kilometers, the sooner the merrier. And yeah, here we are. Here we are, opening, showing stuff. And yeah, I screw up again here. You'll notice that the parachutes turn blue, because I was trying to show you that it's all action grouped. And I forgot about the action groups, and I set off the chutes with 6. It's 8, the one that's what I want. Yeah, that. But there's nowhere to pop them loose, and the next time I load, they're gonna read. I think they're gonna be like back inside, and I'm gonna be able to select them again. But well, we'll see. And in any case, next time I see air, we're going down. Yeah, well, a bit of decay because drag, but we could get it back over 70, and that's kind of monotonous. And the bad part is that you cannot take away the time warp. But you may be saying that I am a very stupid person, and yes, I am. Yes, I am. Indeed, I am. Because now I say I'm gonna show you like the mods. I use 2 mods that I think are incredibly useful, and they're not cheaty in any way. That's an alarm clock that basically you can set alarms, and it's awesome. You just place you can do them manually, like 4 hours from now or whatever, but you can also place a maneuver and tell it to create an alarm, and it will stop the game and give you an alarm or drop you out of time warp. Yeah, that's another Grasshopper, and I'm gonna show you like where I've gotten to, and it's kind of special. Okay, we will get to I haven't yet discovered what I did wrong, weird. So we'll get back to it. Yeah, and that's the farthest thing I've ever launched. And it's going retrograde. If you will notice, that's a consequence of another bug. Actually, the one upon when your velocity goes completely weird when you change SOI. I was going prograde on escape from the solar system, and I ended up retrograde in a high eccentricity orbit. Incredibly weird. But yeah, that's going for a gravity assistant. You'll then escape on a polar trajectory. Yeah, bit of nice orbital mechanics. Yeah, now I noticed about what I did wrong. See, the thing is, I turned on the physical time warp and I did the whole flight at 2 times time warp. So yeah, you don't need a lot of reflexes to fly this thing. Everything was happening twice the normal speed. Yeah, that's the speed at which that docking port should open. Yeah, and now we are at 1 times time warp. Now that we would like to time warp, but you know that happens. That actually shows you that it's maneuverable, and it won't. Even if you flip, you can get back in control easily, and it's a rather quick profile, but it gives you time to think while doing stuff. Even that fancy trick where you let it flame out with the nuke, and then you gain control before your apoapsis gets close to you. Yeah, that you can do that easier than I did here. So the other mod actually that I wanted to use it to show you, it's already down. Haystack. It's awesome. I'm just waiting to go over 69 so I can time warp faster. And yeah, Haystack is very useful to select stuff without messing with. As you can see, it would be really difficult to get those very close orbits to. And the game will always go for the oldest ship in a bunch. That's something I found out that maybe you wanna know. But sorry, you should use this mod because it takes no parts like the alarm clock. You don't have to put anything on the ship, and it shares with everyone, and it's very useful. I imagine something like this will eventually get implemented in the game. And yeah, that's our maneuver, if you could call it that. Less than 20 meters per second to circularize. And we're over 70, and it's a good place, like any, to do the only maneuver that maintenance that you have to make. You have to transfer this fuel manually from the external, big aviation fuel tanks. Why? Well, basically because I didn't want to mess up with fuel lines more than necessary. I mean, I already had our back during development where they disconnected, and I also know I need to keep the center of mass really in the middle. So yeah, they're not connected to the engine. But since you end the orbit insertion with more than enough fuel, you can just transfer it when you get to orbit, and actually that indicator will tell you. Now this is still not accurate. Just go with the oxidizer indicator, because the fuel indicator on the staging area is just not accurate. It's biased by the fact that you have excess tanks for aviation fuel. And yeah, this is how you use the alarm clock. You just set the alarm, and without doing nothing, I'm not gonna touch anything. I put it at time warp 10, but I could use whatever it'll let me. I mean 50, which is the maximum at this height, but and yeah, it goes out of time warp and drops this message. And yeah, in a minute I will have to do this 5-second burn. 5 seconds. Yeah, it's like a burp, not an orbital burn. But here we are, and look at that lens flare. And graphics back. Well, alpha game, it's only to expect, and it already looks pretty awesome. So no complaint, squad. Just saying that's something that should get on the to-do list weird lens flares on water on that side of the planet, apparently. And yeah, we are looking pretty, getting close to the burn. To circularize, Oremon looks around. Yeah, he's not so sure about things, but we are. As you can see, we did the burn when it told us to do, but at half fast. So that half the burn was done before, half afterwards. You should go for that. I've found out it's the most accurate thing, and I did it a half first because it was a burp, as I told you. And now I'm doing something that you should know that is impossible. I'm trying to get like a perfect 75-kilometer circular orbit and raising my periaps when I'm on periaps, and that's physically impossible. So yeah, that happens, but I realize in time that I'm trying to do things physics just won't allow me. And that's the situation. 75 kilometers circular, more than 600 units of oxidizer left. And the chutes there, but the chutes. The electricity will run forever, of course, because we have an RTG. The panels are just, so you can rove full ahead on daylight, though with the amount of battery it has. Well, you notice I didn't run out of battery going to the launch pad. But yeah, that thing I did, I think I quick saved and quick load, and to cycle the tubes. I don't know if it'll work because right now this ship is sitting on orbit on orbit. Sorry, not first language, but we try. And getting to the end. So with this, I bid you farewell. I hope you try this craft, enjoy it, and if you do, I will appreciate, a comment, some pictures to see what you did with it, whatever you can think of. So, goodbye, see you later. Try to keep your schedule safe, and have fun. That's the main thing. Bye.